Welcome. I bring you greetings from UNESCO. Greetings to everyone connected on Zoom and live streaming through social media. My name is Alton Grizzle, and I'm program specialist in communication and information. UNESCO welcomes you to this final debate session of this third edition of the Youth Media and Information Literacy Debate Series. We have been talking about the theme for the past 3 days, youth powering media and information literacy responses to generative artificial intelligence. It's about youth, youth, youth. It's about youth minds, youth information, youth critical thinking, youth power, youth for change. We are really in a youth world with 79% of the global population between 15 and 24 years are using the internet as of 2023. 1.2 billion young women and men are in the world, are present in the world, worldwide. UNESCO is responding to youth through the organization's global strategy. As drivers of digital technology, you as young people, you also need media and information literacy. Media and information literacy can enable what experts call action literacy, that youth can engage with positive action in transforming digital spaces, but also physical spaces to tackle hate speech and disinformation. Now, what if every existing youth organizations, whether NGO, government, or private youth organization, integrate media and information literacy in their online and offline activities? In 2023, UNESCO launched the guidelines for the governance of digital platforms, safeguarding freedom of expression and access to information through a multi-stakeholder approach. This groundbreaking tool, this international standard-setting tool, has as one of its key pillars empowering users, including youth, with media and information literacy. The topic for today is, should the governance of digital platforms and technological companies include implementing a teenage mode to mitigate the negative impacts of technology on young people, particularly as it relates to the rise in the use of generative AI, governance of digital platform, teenage mode, negative impacts, and the rise of generative AI. There's a lot of what is called design thinking and systems thinking that goes into development of digital platforms. Now, what about media and information literacy as a way of thinking? Not just design thinking and system thinking in digital platforms, but media and information literacy as a way of thinking. What if generative artificial intelligence could support media and information literacy learning by design? What if generative artificial intelligence could support media and information literacy learning online by design? That is, AI becoming an ally of media and information literacy for all. What if all digital platforms around the world were to seriously promote media and information literacy, meaning they truly promote media and information literacy? What if all stakeholders around the world fully implement the UNESCO guidelines for the governance of digital platforms and fully incorporate the pillar on media and information literacy? And what if every media, and we mean every media, truly meet media and information literacy? This is what UNESCO is promoting in and through this youth debate series. Maybe the young debaters today might address some of these issues. This is the grand finale of the 3 days of debates. And the debaters will be taking you on another fast but safe fly. We invite you to secure all the doors of your spaceships, but keep your minds and your eyes open with media and information literacy. You can see in some of the background of the young people a robot who is, like pressing on the AI chip in the background images. You can see that. And you can see that the lens, the eyes of this robot is media and information literacy. So keep your minds and your eyes open with media and information literacy. Put on your media and information literacy lens as these young dynamic presenters blow you away with their research and their arguments. Before I hand over to our esteemed moderator, Carlo Concepcion, and he will say a few words about himself when he takes the floor. I mentioned earlier that UNESCO is responding and engaging with youth globally. All you brilliant young debaters connected today are a testimony and indicators of this engagement. And I invite you to check out our website to see the depth of UNESCO engagement with young people. But we also have young people, young actors who are involved in our sectors, who are integral part of planning, designing, and implementing our activities, including this youth debate series. So I'd like for you to listen for one more minute before the debater take over, my colleague Mindu, who will share a few words with you. Mindu, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Elton. Hello, everyone. I want to say how incredible it is to explore possibility that young peoples have when we talk about the media and information literacy responses to GAR. It is definitely an enjoyable and fruitful journey for me. So I hope same to you all. Thank you so much for your dedications and contributions to this important course. I believe we can make a difference. As a youth, we are the generation that's super turned into the digital world. And our fresh ideas are exactly what's needed to tackle contemporary challenges. So by getting involved and spreading the word about media and information literacies, we can help create a future where critical thinking and informed decision makings are the norm. So now it is your short time, and I wish you guys a good luck and look forward to your excellent performance today. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, Carlo Concepcion, the floor is yours. Please do share a few words about yourself.
All right. Thanks, Alton. Thanks, Min. All right. Good evening, everyone. I am Carlo Concepcion from the Philippines, and I am representing the Philippine Association for Media and Information Literacy, one of the organizations that are part of the UNESCO MIL Alliance, and we are based here in the capital city of Manila. So we welcome you, everyone, to the third edition of the Media and Information Literacy Youth Debate Series with the theme Think Critically, Click Wisely as part of the MIL Clicks Peer Education Program. So if you recall our session 2 yesterday, in which I have the honor also to mentor those debaters, and they did a wonderful job in addressing the question, is removing biases from generative AI systems possible? Where we've seen good arguments and concrete policy recommendations and strategic actions for team 1 or for the affirmative side, and team 2 for the against or the opposition side, where the results was team 1 won with a minimal margin. In other words, we get to see the unified objective or the ultimate goal of all of these of these different arguments and policy recommendations, and that is to ensure responsible and ethical governance in terms of the proper use of platforms and tools pertinent to generative artificial intelligence. And for this session, the third one, we will be talking about something that's close to the youth in terms of our use of social media and other tools, or not just social media, but also other tools related to generative artificial intelligence. And the role of the policymakers is very important in addressing this question. Again, the topic for session 3, should the governance of digital platforms and technology companies include implementing a teenage mode? We have to emphasize that teenage mode in an effort to mitigate the negative impacts of technology on young people, particularly considering the rise of generative AI. Again, the objectives of these debates are as follows. It's for the participants or youth organizations to deepen their understanding of generative AI, enhance their media and information literacy and digital competencies in general, and propose policy recommendations and concrete actions that stimulate youth relevant media and information literacy responses to the use of generative AI. So I'm not alone here, of course, aside from Alton and Nin. We also would like to say a little hello and would like to ask how you were able to prepare our debaters. We will be introducing right now our mentors. So first, we have the founding editor and publisher of the IJBST Journal Group from India, Dr. Prabhu Brito Albert. Hi, Prabhu. Can you say a little hi? Can you unmute? And we'd like to hear from you. What were your preparations before this session?
We had been working together on a collaborative space so that team members will have a better opportunity of engaging together and providing a balanced view, not taking a strong stand as for or against, but projecting a balanced view also with a perspective of taking forward the UNESCO policies on generative AI. Thank you so much.
And we're excited.
And I'm
Yeah,
excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm also excited to see the dynamics and the results of the collaboration from each of the teams. Thank you, Prabhu. Now, the other mentor is the founder and coordinator of Peru's main MIL organization. That's Amino Mela Hassen. From France, we have Manuel Antonio Monteagudo. Hi, Manuel.
Hi, Carlo. Thanks for having me.
How were your preparations?
Well, it was a great experience. I was particularly impressed by the capacity of the team to manage the logistics of this debate in a very short time span and from very different countries. So that in itself is a proof of their proficiency in media and information literacy. And I have seen the result of what they've prepared, and I can see they are incredibly adaptive, incredibly creative in their proposals. So I am really, really expecting what comes out of this debate. But at least the main thing I take out of this experience is hope in the future, because I can see that the youngsters are really into media literacy, are really adaptive, and are really creative, and that's what we need for the future. So thank you very much for having me as a mentor. It's been a real honor, and I'm looking forward for this debate.
Glad to hear that, Manuel. Thanks. And we look forward that more youth will be greatly involved in this advocacy and in this effort to improve our MIL competencies. All right. Now, of course, we will be hearing later more from our judges, but we just like to just hear maybe a sentence from each of the judges, what they look forward to this debate. So first, we have the research associate from the Helen Keller International. From Nepal, we have Mariada Neupane. Hi, Mariada.
Hello, and hello everyone. Namaskar. I'm Mariada Neupane from Nepal. So I am looking forward for new perception regarding the generation of AI and more youth inputs in this debate session. Thank you. Looking forward.
Great to see you, Mariada. Thanks. Now, and also we have a sessional instructor of the University of Calgary, and where she's also a PhD candidate from Cuba and Canada. We have Leslie Salgado Arzuaga. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Carlo. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. It's very early in the morning in the city where I am, but I'm happy to be here. I'm looking forward to listen to and see engaged debaters, thinking through the problems, but also about the solutions, about the pathways to tackle those problems. So I'm happy to be here and looking forward to listen to all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie. And we're excited to hear from you later during the public voting. We reminded our dear audience members, we will be sharing links Whether you are viewing through Zoom, LinkedIn, or YouTube, we'll be sharing links for you to be involved and answer 2 simple questions for our public voting. And while the public voting is going on, we'll get to hear from our judges when it comes to their feedback. And as we know, we'll have a combination of these votes. 70% of the score will be coming from our expert judges, and then 30% will be coming from you, our dear audience members. So I think it's now time to introduce our debaters. So as you know, we have 2 teams. Team 1 is for the affirmative, and Team 2 is for the against or the opposition. So when I call you, you just say a little hi, and yeah, we look forward to hearing from you later. So let's begin with Team 1 from India. We have Shehak Yadav. Hi, Shehak.
Hello, I'm Chehak Yadav. I'm from India and I'm excited to participate in this debate. I look forward to hearing both the teams' opinions, especially the against team, because I know what the for team is preparing for.
All right, thanks, Shihak. Now, from Jordan, we have Dalia Al-Rusan. Dalia.
Hi everyone, so this is Dalia Rusan from Jordan, and I will be debating for the teenage mood with 4 team. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dalia. Now, from Egypt, we have Hasna Sameh Abdelhamid. Hasna.
Hello everyone, my name is Hasna Sameh. I'm from Egypt. I'm looking forward to participate in this debate. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Hasna. Now, lastly, from US and Spain, we have Elizabeth Scher. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi everyone, I'm Elizabeth. I'm very excited to be here, and I look forward to this open discussion on this very important topic.
Right, thanks. Now, may we hear now from our against side or the team 2. From Nepal, we have Rabindra Lekak. Rabindra, hello.
Hello everyone. I am Rebuttal from Nepal, and I am going to be speaking from the side of against, and I am very much honored to be a part of this debate. Hope to see something new comes from this session. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Rabindra. Now from Zambia, we have Mukuka Kabanshi. Hi, Mukuka.
Hi everyone, my name is Mukuka Kabanshi from Zambia, and I'm so excited to participate in this debate. Thank you.
Thanks, Mukuka. Now from Finland, we have Elsa Kivinen. Elsa, hello.
Yeah, hi everyone. I joined pretty late, but I'm very excited because I learned about this so late. So yeah, excited to be here. Thank you.
Of course, yeah, you still have a lot to bring to the table. Thanks, Elsa. Now from Bosnia and Herzegovina, we have Haris Buljubasic. Haris, hello.
Hello, hi everybody. I'm really excited now that I've seen all the participants. I can't wait for the debate to start.
All right, thanks. And lastly, we have Omar Farouk from Bangladesh.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me here, and I'm very looking forward to the debate. I'll be representing the against team and looking forward to a fruitful discussion together.
All right, thanks, Omar. Now, before we show you a short video from UNESCO, let me just remind our debaters about our format and our some reminders. Of course, you've been oriented about the format of our debate, which will consist of some segments, including an opening statement followed by the 2 rounds of argumentations, followed by a questioning and rebuttal from Team 1, then questioning and rebuttal from Team 2, and then we will close with closing arguments and summary. And we'll be hearing from our judges. And while it takes place, we will be getting the pulse of the public through an online voting. And you'll be seeing on my video. Are you seeing it right now? There. So you get to see here my timer. So you'll be reminded on the time that you have during your turn. All right. So that will serve as your guide to manage our time as well. All right. Now, before we proceed to the main debate, let's now watch this video from UNESCO. Okay, I think while the video is being prepared, again, let's remind our public to have our to prepare our devices also for access to Slido. We'll be using the app called Slido, where we will be answering just 2 simple questions for you to share with us what your takeaways, or not just your takeaways, but what you think, which team do you think has a stronger stance? Again, we're not finding out, or we're not trying to identify who wins the match. Okay, it's not really the competition that we're concerned, but we want to elevate both the arguments and the policy recommendations of both teams. And just like with the previous session, all of these arguments and policy recommendations would have a unified and ultimate goal, and that is to ensure um, uh, effective, responsible, and ethical governance in terms of using generative artificial intelligence. Is the video ready? Perfect. Okay, let's now.
Media and information literacy empowers people to think critically about information and use of digital tools. Media and information literacy helps people to make informed choices about how they participate in peace building, equality, freedom of expression, access to information, and sustainable development goals in general. UNESCO supports and champions media and information literacy initiatives across the globe. We do this through actions such as capacity building for various stakeholders, developing curricula for educators and learners to aid the integration of media and information literacy in all levels of education, assisting governments and institutions to formulate national media and information literacy policies and strategies, training journalists to promote media and information literacy to build trust in media, strengthening international cooperation and raising awareness through the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Alliance, supporting youth organisations to integrate media and information literacy into their policies and operations, and become peer educators online, offering a suite of online media and information literacy courses, including ones for policymakers, undertaking research with the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy and Intercultural Dialogue University Network, organising the annual Global Media and Information Literacy Week. With this holistic approach and rich resources, we can help foster media and information literacy among people and communities across the globe. Here's how you can get involved in UNESCO's media and information literacy initiatives and make a real difference in society.
All right, thank you for that video. Of course, we do appreciate how UNESCO is really working hard to promote these literacies under media and information literacy. And you know what? Even in our classroom, even in the policies that we have in place in our organizations, we get to use these working documents and inputs from UNESCO as our very reliable references, and we hope the same thing. We are hoping the same thing for you also. Now, let's get started. We'll now begin our debate match. Again, the question that both teams must answer is: should the governance of digital platforms and technology companies include implementing a teenage mode to mitigate the negative impacts of technology on young people, particularly considering the rise of generative AI? So we begin with the opening statements from each of the teams. So every team will have 3 minutes, and they'll have one speaker to discuss to us what for them teenage mode means, and maybe they could also preview some of the arguments for their respective teams. So we'll give you 3 minutes for team one. Hasna, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you for giving me the floor, esteemed mentors, respected judges, and my fellow digital explorers. In the spirit of UNESCO's commitment to media and information literacy with my fellow debaters, I stand to advocate for applying a teenage mode by companies who are developing and providing AI tools for everyone. Teenage Mood is not just a setting, it's a smart companion that grows with its user and provides a safe environment for teenagers. It's a dynamic guide that learns and adjusts, ensuring that as teenagers change, so does their digital experience, always safe and always appropriate. In a world where screens are gateways to infinite knowledge, Teenage Mood serves as a vigilant guardian, mitigating the risks of digital overuse. With Teenage Mood, teenagers will be able to get scientific-based information about global and local news, the environment, as well as appropriate content on their health and well-being, protecting them from disinformation and providing them with comprehensive, healthy education specific to their age. AI acts as a vigilant protector of privacy and safety. People around the world, especially young people, are facing violence and abuse, which require protection and awareness for young people to use and share their information on different platforms. As a Teenage Mood will provide the parents with what is happening with their teenagers and protect them. We actually see that social media is not just a platform, but a pulse of our society, deeply influencing our youth. The rise of influencers shapes teenage behavior, often without a clear compass for discernment. Excessive social media use has been linked to mental health challenges, such as anxiety and depression, and even sleep deprivation. Privacy concerns loom large as personal information is shared without grasping the consequences. Academic performance can falter under the distractions of constant digital beings. And amidst this, the development of real-world social skills risks being overshadowed by virtual interactions. These are the tides pulling at our youth, and it's here that Teenage Mood becomes not just a necessary but imperative. A digital compass to guide the shield, to protect, and beacon to eliminate the path to a balanced and empowered digital existence. As we engage in this pivotal debate, let us envision a future where teenagers are safe to use the internet, benefit from digital platforms, and get the right education and awareness. Technology is not just a tool, but a teacher, a guardian, and a friend. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to our debate advocating for applying a Teenage Mood. Thank you.
All right, thanks for that, Hasna. So we look forward this time to hear why do you think teenage mode might not work, or is there any other way how we should govern the use of generative AI? Let's now hear from Team 2, and they will also preview their arguments. Harris, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. So we believe that the AI-powered teenage mode is not the right way to protect the youth. First of the reason is that AI is very prone to making mistakes. So if you go on the site called tech.co, you will see a range of mistakes that have been reported when it comes to AI. So one of the latest ones is that the New York City chatbot advised small businesses to break the law. The second thing is that the AI is still not really well regulated across the world. So the judiciary systems are still scrambling to regulate the AI in a proper way. We have the EU as a front runner, but that law is far from being in power. AI has its own biases, as we've heard on one of the debates. For example, when it comes to face recognition, it doesn't recognize people of color as properly as it does white people. So who guarantees us that this AI tool wouldn't be full of its biases? Not to speak about the cultural differences that we have in different parts of the world, because we all use more or less same social media platforms. Also, one of the important things that would be hard to deal with is copyright issues. Public posts are public and they could be regulated by this AI technology, but what couldn't be regulated is private messages. All the social media platforms that we trust promise us that our conversations are encrypted. So that's one of the ways in which youth would not be protected by this technology. Also, we have different social media platforms coming from different parts of the world. So who says that they would all agree to a certain AI tool standards to use for teenage mode? That would be another issue. Also, what's very tricky here is that each technology can be avoided if we simply start with VPNs. We use them across the world to avoid different limitations. An interesting figure says that 68 pre-teenagers in the US use social media platforms. That means youngsters younger than the age of 13, although 13 is the age limit. So they are still finding ways to bypass the rules of social media platforms such as Instagram and use them, although they are prohibited from them. Also, what could happen as a consequence of having AI-powered teenage mode on certain platforms is that simply young people would move to another unregulated platforms, and then you would have spaces where they could share dangerous ideas. A research found that peer-to-peer exchange between young people is extremely crucial for them. So I want you to imagine that you're a teenager writing that you are annoyed by the adults and you want to edit all. This tool would actually ban other peers from seeing your post, and they would not be able to talk to you and maybe talk you off any negative ideas. Thank you.
All right, exactly 3 minutes. Thank you for that, Harris. All right, so we've got the debate is heating up with those opening statements. Now we'll proceed to the next round, where debaters of two teams take turns presenting their viewpoints, providing detailed arguments, and offering evidence, recommendations, and concrete actions to support their position. So there will be 2 rounds of 15 minutes, and they'll be taking turns. So ideally, dear debaters, for every turn, you'll have 2.5 minutes to satisfy the time requirement for every round, that is 15 minutes. So we'll get to hear from 3 speakers alternating for each team. So we begin with the first team. So maybe remind our debaters to emphasize the strength of arguments and evidence. So maybe now hear from the first team member for team 1, Dalia. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So as we are advocating and highlighting the necessity of a teenage mood by technological companies and the generative artificial intelligence tools and social media platforms, as part of the comprehensive media and information literacy strategy, this mood, the idea of it is to prioritize the safety and well-being of teenagers by providing a safe online environment. And meanwhile, they can access to evidence-driven information and protecting them from violence, cyberbullying, and all of this by occupying them with the necessary skills to deal with the generative artificial intelligence. The idea is that we are not prohibiting young people from the information or from the internet or social media, but rather we are trying to guide them in order to use the social media and digital platforms in the correct manner. So if you would say that we already have a teenage mood setting, I would say that this teenage mood setting is only a setting that anyone can control this setting. Adding to this, with the effective tremendous, it's not actually effective, because with the tremendous technological advances, we could do more. So if we reach to many technological tools, are we unable to safeguard the young people out there, or even find scalable solutions for them? Adding to this, I would like to mention something related to enhancing the digital literacy, because we know that the media and information literacy are critical skills for navigating the digital age. And many teenagers, they lack the necessary tools to understand, to critically evaluate the online content. So when they are exposed to different content, they cannot define or even evaluate the content that they could use. So making them vulnerable to a lot of violence, a lot of things that at their age they need more guide in order to use the perfect place for them to navigate in the internet. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dalia. Now may we hear from the first member of the team 2 for their first argument. May we hear now from Elsa. The floor is yours, Elsa. Could you unmute, Elsa?
So I'm going to outline what our team thinks are the 3 main arguments, and I'm going to present the first one about health. So we think the teenage mode wouldn't be as effective as the 4 team things it will be. One of the common arguments for these things is that, there's correlation of global decline in mental health and a global increase in the use of social media. But even if there were some studies that say that there's correlation between those two, we think the correlation doesn't justify this kind of policy. We think there are other and more targeted and health-promoting ways of limiting those negative impacts of social media, which we probably agree on both teams, such as this unhealthy level of comparison between teenagers, beautified unrealistic expectations of expectations put on people, especially young women and young teenagers. So it's clear that, and also it's clear that even if social media might not cause depression, those who are already depressed and cannot find hobbies or isolated or at risk of becoming depressed or developing an eating disorder, they might use social media more often. But still, we think that this teenage mode wouldn't actually be as useful. First, it creates an unequal access to information, both geographically and depending on the savviness of the user. So in some locations, people would probably be more prone to having to use that teenage mode. And where some people, as argued by the first person speaking, they could somehow bypass it easier. And this would create unequal access to information, which sometimes is very crucial because you will have to find this information, and social media is the place where we find it. The teenage mode focuses on minimizing the harm and not providing better solutions for health, which also take the focus away from the screen and make teenagers active in the outdoors and social settings. So what we propose instead of a teenage mode is investment in accessible and inclusive activities for teenagers, such as sports, libraries, youth work, information literacy trainings.
All right, thank you, Elsa, for that. All right, so we've heard from the first pair of debaters about more of the well-being of the youth. Now let's get to hear the other arguments for each of the teams. We'll now have the second member of Team 1, Elizabeth. The floor is yours.
Hi, thank you. I would also like to focus on the health and well-being for this part. And so while it's true that it is difficult to imply that social media causes depression among teens, studies from the National Institute of Health have shown that there's a significant correlation between social media use and the rise of anxiety and depression among teens. So for example, through comparing lifestyles, body image, and even being fed into a dark content hole of war, violence, or stories of sexual abuse. And the thing is, social media algorithms continue feeding you content that you spend time watching and engaging with. So even if the teen may not want to see such negative and inappropriate content to the extent of the algorithm, they still may be fed that content anyway without having teenage mode on. So of course, teenage mode isn't the only solution to teen depression and anxiety. There also has to be some investments and solutions to more accessible health services and hobbies or activities to support more supportive communities for teens. For example, in urban areas, having more green spaces or parks to spend time outdoors. Also, the National Institute of Health states the part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex finishes developing and maturing in the mid to late 20s. And this area is responsible for skills like planning, prioritizing, and making good decisions. So teens are very highly impressionable or highly influenced age group. And a teenage mode should not restrict or take away their freedom, but they can still receive the same news and content with a more controlled algorithm that protects their mental health by recognizing when content watched is continuously negative or dangerous and change its course to more positive content. You should know that teens can still explore on their own will via search engines or even in social media platforms, but digital platforms should have the responsibility to ensure safe algorithms for teens' overall health and well-being. And lastly, in regards to anxiety, a new and growing concern for teens and even adults is the chronic fear of environmental doom, as we're constantly exposed to content on climate change crises and environmental crises, as well as misinformation that can lead to these stresses and anxieties that teens do experience. So it's important to note that a teenage mode should always show science-backed information. Like always, it should not in any way hide that for teens. But in addition, it could also include content on positive solutions, highlighting environmental actions from people, organizations, and there are many creators. Okay, oh my gosh, there are many creators and organizations who show positive content, and so taking those keywords from videos and captions could be integrated into teen mode. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth, for that. All right, just be mindful of your time. All right, let's now hear more from the second member of Team 2. Harris, go ahead.
So this teenage mode could also serve as a bubble, and that could actually burst at one point and fire back at all those who created it. The team 4 didn't tell us some crucial things. For example, who activates the teenage mode? Is it social media platforms automatically when you insert your date of birth? But as I told you, 68% of pre-teenagers use social media platforms in the US, although they are prohibited from them. So simply by entering a wrong date of birth, you can still go into the full access of social media platforms in case there is a teenage mode. The second thing is, do we have a standardized teenage mode, or each platform decides on how their teenage mode will look like? Also, would this AI-powered teenage mode serve as some sort of censorship? So who creates this teenage mode? That's something also important. For example, my Instagram account has been banned because I shared a piece of information from Rafah. That post that I shared wasn't removed from Instagram, so it didn't go against Instagram rules, but my account is basically disabled. And I guess the AI did it because it happened within a second. So how do we fight that? What I would propose, instead of having a teenage mode which can be bypassed easily in different ways and which has many shortcomings, is investing in media literacy. As we know, UNESCO has invested so much in promoting media literacy, and we simply across the globe need more lessons on media literacy in our schools, in primary schools, in high schools. It really depends on the educational systems around the world, so that we give youngsters tools to be able to know which information they need, to be able to protect themselves, be they on social media platforms, be they in real world or elsewhere on the internet, because we cannot forget the fact that social media platforms are just one part of the internet. There is a whole other part of the internet that wouldn't go under this. And I will just mention again the differences. We have TikTok, we have Facebook. They come from different parts of the world. How would we standardize that they all apply and that we don't have people running from one platform which has the teenage mode to another that doesn't, spreading even more dangerous content? Thank you.
All right, thanks, Harris. So we would like to hear from the last pair of the first round, more of privacy and safety concerns and keeping up with the societal trends. So may we now hear from the third member of Team 1, Shahak, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I want to focus more on the privacy and safety concerns. So basically, children's data is a goldmine for tech giants, right? Targeted advertisements bombard them with unhealthy consumerism, exploiting their vulnerability, especially at an age where they are most susceptible to influence, especially with the rise of generative AI, which is capable of creating deepfakes, which adds another layer of complexity, I believe. Now, AI manipulation within teenage can create insecurities with fabricated content or sway their opinions. I believe the teenage mode could address this by limiting the concerns of limiting data collection, restricting targeted advertisements, and educating teens about online safety and AI manipulation. Over social media, we can't obviously do this very actively, but what I believe could be helpful is we have a system for age verification, maybe an ID verification, or maybe a parent identifying the child's age. Another thing that we can personally add is maybe a user choice. Could be presented with the option with the teenage. That I believe parents involvement might also be added. So parents could activate the teenage mode for the since the teenager is given. That gives a sense of security to the teenager as well, and that gives the safe blanket for the parent as well. Now, this is not all that is needed, but I believe this would be a necessary first step in the process. Along with that, focusing on the third part, that is societal trends and what social media is, why is it a necessary tool? Now, social media isn't all bad. It provides communication, it helps in building communities, it helps in connecting people from all across the world. So the goal isn't to shut the teenagers out entirely and create them in a bubble, but it's rather to create a safer space for them. A teenage mode would entirely restrict access, but it would curate content and prioritize age appropriate experiences that would help promote a responsible digital citizenship. I believe it's about striking a balance, allowing the teenagers to reap the positive benefits as well as mitigating the potential harms. Sorry, thank you.
All right, thanks, Jack, for that. So we've got a good run of the arguments from both teams. So we've heard from 3 members, and we'll do another round. But before that, may we remind the public to to keep your attention to those arguments, and we're just getting started. The debate is still heating up. So in a short while, we'll be sharing to you the link where you can participate by answering our poll questions to determine 30% of the scores, which team you think has a stronger set of arguments and policy recommendations. Now, what I'm interested, or what I look forward to hearing from the second round or the second segment of the argumentation and support, is to emphasize the policy recommendations, the concrete strategic actions, as well as the rationale behind these proposed recommendations. Now, may we begin with the first speaker of team 1, Elizabeth. The floor is yours.
Sorry,
May
the
we have
first speaker
Elizabeth?
was Dahlia. Should it be me speaking?
It's you, please.
Okay. So yeah, teenage mode can create safer environments by enforcing stricter privacy settings and limiting data collection, which I think is very important. And again, it won't take away their freedom because they still receive the content on global news and pop culture and other interests, but just in a way that protects their safety. And so we know that teens are tech savvy, and identification documents are not normally required to open social media accounts. So of course they can even change their birth years to get access to other content, but maybe some of them actually want to be protected and avoid content they know can cause emotional or physical harm. So giving themselves the option to be part of a healthier media environment is the moral and just responsibility of digital platforms. So I like the question on how can we create a standardized teenage mode. It's very fair, but I think that we can use existing resources for the UN to create best guidelines that digital platforms must comply with to ensure that there is standardization, but of course the algorithms for each platform will vary. And teenage mode can create pathways for age-appropriate videos that explain the key concepts as well for media literacy, like evaluating sources and understanding bias and protecting personal information. Because as we are shaping the younger generation, they are going to need to understand media literacy, that, for example, even adult populations get very confused when they see AI photos and think they are real. So this tool has been, for example, very positive with YouTube Kids. I have not seen any opposition on YouTube Kids wanting to have access to content outside of that privacy setting. So we see that it works in other platforms, and having more standardization and having it more applicable to other platforms can overall just help teens experience a safer environment.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth, for that. Now let's hear from the second speaker, from the second team. The first speaker, Rabindra, over to you.
If I have 20 seconds left, okay.
You want to use that more?
Yeah, I can try one.
All right.
Okay.
Wait, let me go. Just speak. Just speak.
Thank you. It's also important to note that teenage mode should involve a continuous process of evaluation and adjustment to meet the evolving digital space and the needs of young users. So it should include opportunities on feedback from teens to make adjustments And okay, it'll basically keep in mind the developmental stage of teens and avoid exploiting their vulnerability to inappropriate behaviors, because digital platforms can promote unsustainable consumerism, for example. Okay, thank you.
All right, Elizabeth, you can have your team members extend those arguments. So may we proceed now to Rebindra from Team 2. Go ahead.
All right. While a teenage mode may offer a superficial layer of safety, it's similar to placing a band-aid on a wound that requires 60 days. My friend, the real issue at hand is the lack of digital literacy and awareness among teenagers. It's imperative that we address this root cause and through the comprehensive education rather than the superficial technological fixes. We can imagine a world where teenagers are equipped with digital armor, not through restrictive modes, but through the power of education. It's like teaching them to swim rather than just warning them about the drowning in the water. For this, generative AI can support digital literacy by providing customized learning tools and resources that adapt to each student's pace and style, fostering a deeper understanding and engagement with the material. And another thing is that implementing a teenage mode could inadvertently stifle the creativity spirit, limiting the very opportunities that foster learning and growth. For example, we can take our opposing member. She has been able to be part of this debate session due to the access to the technological world. Rather than she is a minor, but she got the opportunity only because of this technical access. Another thing that restricting access under the guise of protection could prevent teenagers from pursuing diverse interests and educational or career aspirations. It is essential to maintain a open digital ecosystem for the holistic development of young minds. Um, these are not only the points that we need to focus on. This can implementing this teenage mode would create a false sense of safety among the teenagers. We need the parents and the guardians to have a look upon what the teenagers are really using in the technology, rather than just fostering the teenage mode. We can have a look at what they are walking in. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Rabindra from Team 2. Now, may we hear from another member of Team 1 to extend those policy recommendations and further arguments? Hasna, please.
Okay. Firstly, let's address privacy. According to a report by the Pew Research Center, 60% of teens have had their online privacy compromised at some point. This alarming statistic highlights the need for robust privacy setting that teenage mode can offer. By default, a teenage mode would restrict the sharing of personal information and alert users to potential privacy risks, thus protecting their digital identities. Secondly, safety is critical concern. The same Pew research study found that 72% of teens have encountered online harassment and 41% have been victims of cyberbullying. Implementing a teenage mode can significantly mitigate these risks. Advanced AI algorithms can filter out harmful content and monitor online interaction to prevent harassment and cyberbullying. For example, platforms like Instagram have already started using AI to detect and hide offensive comments, and the teenage mode can enhance these protections specifically for younger users. Furthermore, ethical consideration must guide our action. The UN Convention on the Rights of the Child emphasizes that children have the right to a safe digital environment. By implementing teenage mode, we are upholding this fundamental right, ensuring that teenagers can explore the digital world without exposure to harmful content or privacy breaches. Some concrete actions to support this might be enhanced content filtering, AI-driven content moderation to block inappropriate or harmful content automatically, privacy education, integrate education tools within teenage mode to teach teenager about digital privacy and responsible online behavior. Also parental involvement options for parental control and monitoring to ensure that parents are informed about their children's online activities while respecting their privacy. Also, collaboration with the experts parenting with the child physiologists and digital safety experts to continuously improve teenage mood. In conclusion, the implementation of teenage mode is a vital step towards safeguarding the privacy and the safety of young users. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Hasna. So for Team 1, they'd like to emphasize that the teenage mode is really needed to protect or for better protection of the youth, not just the teenagers, but also the children in their access online. But may we hear now from the second speaker of Team 2 to counter that, or maybe they have something else to consider recommending. Mukuka, the floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, honorable judges and fellow debaters, I'll talk about autonomy and overprotection. While the intention behind teenage mode is to protect young people, we must consider the loss of autonomy and the potential for overprotection to hinder personal growth. Just as we allow young people to cross the street independently, we should also allow them to navigate the digital landscape. Instead of imposing restrictions, we should focus on educating young people about the responsible use of technology. This includes educating them about online safety, privacy, and ethical use of AI. We should also advocate for transparent algorithm and user-friendly privacy controls that empowers them rather than limits them. Young people may feel that a teenage mode doesn't recognize their ability to make responsible choices online. So implementing a teenage mode is not an effective solution to mitigating the negative impacts of technology on young people. Instead, we should focus on promoting responsible social media use, improving safety features, and encouraging digital literacy. I submit.
Right? Do you to make use of the rest of your time, Mukuka, or that's it? You have more than a minute left, Mukuka.
That's it.
All right. Okay, thanks for that, Mukuka. Now, may we now hear from the third member of Team 1 to extend those recommendations? Dalia, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So adding to my colleagues and also answering some questions from the against team, we are advocating for a collaboration between companies, the tech companies and the health companies. And as we all know that there are a lot of health companies who are using AI tools for their beneficiaries. So it is somehow related to each other. Another point that I would like to talk about is that we have restrictions in the content and we cannot deny this, but how can we identify the information that could be shared with people and sort them? This is the idea, the information that we should sort them. For example, if you write something on search platforms, you will get many websites. Some of those websites will be commercial, and the other will be non-profit working for the community. So what is the reliable website that the teenagers could use? So to put this more clear, for a young person who is embarrassed asking a question about their reproductive health, for their family, they might get information that are not reliable on social media or in the internet. So, and as we know, and as the against team mentioned, that there are a lot of awareness campaigns, whether on digital campaigns or even campaigns on the field, we still facing and we still have a lot of people who are suffering from different issues in the social media and the internet. And we should also understand the algorithmic biases, because it's crucial for the media literacy. And you know that the algorithms often dedicate the content that users see based on their previous interactions, which can create echo and reinforce existing biases. Thank you.
All right, thanks for that, Talia. Now hear from the third speaker of team two to give us more of their recommendations that oppose the topic or the motion. Amor, please.
Thank you, moderators. So, first of all, before going into my recommendations, I would like to highlight that reproductive health information is necessary for all of us, not just children, because it's not likely that adults will know everything about their reproductive health. So, I think that it's necessary that we acknowledge it is required for all of us. So, it is not focused on a teen mode only. It should be focused on all ages, and then I would like to highlight that teenage mode requires filter and content filter and needs verification, as the opposite team mentioned. So I would also like to tell that there is privacy concerns regarding that, because you'll have to collect a lot of information to filter contents and verify age. So there is a question that it will create bias, and it will also limit young people's exposure to diverse viewpoints, and it will hinder their ability to develop critical thinking skills as well. So another thing is that we should talk with our parents very freely, because if we focus on only the teenage mode, if the parents turns on the teenage mode, there is a high chance that there will be a cat and mouse game. Like all of us have already saw Tom and Jerry, where Tom tries to catch the Jerry, and Tom tries to catch Jerry. So if teenagers are tech savvy, as the opposite team said, as opposite team said that they are tech savvy, so there is a high chance of workarounds and bypasses for teenage mode, and I think that they will be able to bypass it as well, and this will create a cat and mouse game between the parents and children, and it will also hinder the development and responsible online behavior. And now I'll go to my speech that our team believes that while protecting young people online is crucial, a one-size-fits-all teenage mode on a digital platform is not the answer. Technology offers immense potential for learning, connection, and creativity. Stifling this potential with restrictive mode could hinder youth development. So I will talk some reasons that social media giants are adapted workarounds. So a teenage mode could easily become a checkbox exercise, and failing to address core issues of content moderation and algorithmic manipulation. So strong content moderation policies and age-appropriate verification systems promoting responsible online behavior are more sustainable solutions. I'd like to add the remaining
Thank you,
1 minute of
Amor.
my other teammates. Yeah. May
Okay,
I
your
do
time
it?
is up, Amor. Your time is up,
Thank you.
Amor. So hopefully you could
So
extend those arguments, or probably make it up with addressing the questions from the opposing team. As we move now to the rebuttal and questioning part, where you will engage in questioning, seeking clarification, and challenging each other's viewpoints. Just like from Team 2, they emphasize that activating and implementing a teenage mode would have those underlying challenges, especially in terms of how the parents, the guardians would be informed, or would get to know how they would figure out that teenage mode, and there are other ways to do that. So it's now your time to directly uh it's now time to for you to directly address the concerns of your of the teammates, or the questions and the rebuttals of the opposing teams. Okay, so for this round you will have 2.5 minutes. For the first round, we'll have the questions and the rebuttals coming from team 1, followed by so we'll have the team 1, the first member of team 1, followed by the second member of team 2 to address or answer that question, and then we'll have another member for team 2. No, we have another member for team 1 to raise their second question and rebuttal, and then another member for team 2 to address that. Okay, So that's the first thing that we're going to do. And that's also for 2.5 minutes. So be mindful of your time. As much as we'd love to hear everyone to go on and speak and share what they have in mind, but we're hoping that you'll keep it concise. Okay. So may we now hear the rebuttal and question to Team 2 for coming from Shehak. What's your rebuttal and question for the second team?
Hello, hi. The Against team focused on education a lot, and I heard a point about tech-savvy teams and how they can bypass it. I wanted to give an anecdote on it. I consider social media to be like a highway with people from different communities, different backgrounds coming in together. So, and a teenager is like a person learning to how ride a bike. So imagine teaching someone about safety and about how to ride a bike and letting them lose on the highway. I think that's the anecdote I wanted to start with. So I feel like a mode won't negate the importance of education, but it would complement it by creating a safer environment where teenagers can put their knowledge into practice, into a kind of like a training ground where they can learn from their experiences in a filtered environment, build confidence and responsible online behavior, and then they can be sent out into the real world and they can actually use those skills that they've learned. As one of my team members talked about, teenagers' brains are still developing, making them more susceptible to peer pressure, manipulation techniques, and impulsive behavior. So, education provides knowledge, but teenage mode proactively reduces exposure to harmful content until critical thinking skills are fully honed. So, it can be considered as training wheels in a bike, providing support until they can navigate independently. Now, the question I wanted to focus on to ask the other team, the digital world is constantly evolving. We recently saw a new threat of deepfake that wasn't there a few years back. And we know that educational resources aren't reaching people as quickly and they aren't developing as quickly. So, won't a teenage mode with AI powered filter that is constantly, changing, constantly evolving, and constantly learning, adapting solutions compared to solely relying on educational updates to address these ever changing online dangers, especially in remote countries where these educational resources aren't as available. Like even in my country, we don't get most of these educational books until a few years later when those dangers are most well known. So I wanted to ask about that.
All right, thanks, Jack, for that rebuttal and question to Team 2. May I invite Elsa to address those rebuttals and that question, please? 2.5 minutes.
Okay, sure. So the example of letting someone loose on a highway when they're learning to bike, we think that actually teenagers being coddled with comfort is exactly what we shouldn't be doing. And it's not the example given about letting someone loose on a highway wasn't what we are doing when we're letting people and teenagers use their own judgment, maybe in presence of adults. We also think that it's very necessary to actually allow teenagers with trusted figures, which might, by the way, not always be their parents. And I think there's a lot of unclarity between our teams who is actually going to be the supportive adult, and the team 4 is assuming it's always parents. Anyway, so instead of treating teenagers as individuals who cannot think critically, we should allow them to not use this teenage mode, because in that teenage mode, what could happen, for example, is that if parents were these figures who impose that, or if government or some kind of regulation imposed that, there could be this possibility of suppressing political content for whatever reason. And it might be that then some people, teenagers, would not get important and life-saving information. For example, abortion information could be restricted. And this would be dangerous in areas where teenage pregnancies and campaigns about safe abortion would circulate, and somehow those information pieces wouldn't be accessible to everyone. So why would that circulate on social media and not on websites? Well, social media is where teenagers are anyway. So that's why more and more NGOs and entities are on social media to be reached, and suppressing the way through which teenagers access the outside world would have negative consequences. And I would like some clarification from the other team how this teenage mode would actually be implemented and how to guarantee that life-saving information would be accessed even in situations where the parents of a teenager wouldn't be safe.
All right, thanks, Elsa. We'll give the time to Team 2 for the next round to come up with their questions and rebuttals. And of course, I think what we are hearing from Team 2 is that the implementation of teenage mode could further widen the inequalities. Now, may we hear from the second member of Team 1 to further extend the rebuttal, and maybe they have more question for Team 2. Elizabeth, what's your question and rebuttal?
Sure. So developing a teenage mode will require lots of time and different drafts, of course, to ensure that it is meeting guidelines and that it is matching the algorithms and different policies. But teens can still access information to, for example, those abortion questions through social media. It's not going to block that per se, but it's going to make sure that it is not hindering like negative behaviors or self-harm. So it was mentioned from your team that instead of teenage mode, we should be using these resources to help teens learn how to engage in safe online environments and build a media literacy. However, our stance in teenage mode actually favors those points in collaboration with a teenage mode, because assuming that teens will listen to those lessons without teenage mode does not imply that they will still be protected. So while they still can lie about their age to avoid teenage mode, it is important to provide at least the option and ensure protection through teenage mode. And that's especially crucial in detecting and mitigating bullying, which can correlate to severe depression and dangerous self-harm. So in terms of spending this more time in education, teenage mode can do that using tools and sharing content that build confidence, that show local resources available for mental health and other problems teens might go through, and opportunities to support and get involved with the community in safe ways where teens can meet new youth friends, such as volunteering at local nature centers or hospitals, for example. I think we actually can align on values here in this debate using these ideas, but via a teenage mode. And my question is, just as we have specific age group age ratings for movies and for video games that also could be very easily passed, why wouldn't we apply a similar approach to benefit for digital platforms through teenage mode?
That's it, Elizabeth?
Yes.
All right, thanks for that, Elizabeth. All right, now may we hear from Omor. Maybe it's your time to continue with what you just ended up in the previous round and try to answer also the question of Elizabeth. Your time, please.
Sorry, Elizabeth, could you please ask again, because I have missed your question.
Sure.
Due to any
Sure. So just as we have age-specific ratings for movies and video games that can still get passed by if they're not checking IDs or something, why wouldn't we have a similar approach to ensure more protection through teenage mode on digital platforms?
Got it, Omar?
Yeah, all right, thank you. So as you have said that audio games or videos, they have everything that teenage can enjoy and learn. But if we look at the security concerns, we can see that if we focus on the teenage mode, particularly the teenage mode, we can see that if we implement it, teenagers are gonna bypass it, or maybe they will have the desire to hack it, or maybe they can try to navigate how to get out of it. So this will increase the chance of this will change their mind, and this will let them to think negatively, and they will navigate the negativeness of the game and the things that they are using. So there is a risk of privacy and protection, and they can say they can get negative, and they can simply become a evil hacker or a black hat hacker. So there's a lot of chance, but if we discuss, but what I was focusing on that limiting young people's digital experiences hinders their ability to develop critical thinking and resilience. So the online world, it has all of the complexities, but the reality is that they must navigate all the world and the technology that's been evolving every day. So equipping them with media information literacy skills and programs like UNESCO's meal framework is very crucial for young people to empower and to be discerning consumers of online content. So I will also focus on generative AI because it holds an immense potential for education and creative expression. So a teenage mode could restrict access to these tools, so hindering young minds from exploring and learning instead of promoting responsible development of generative AI. It won't safeguard the place and it won't foster innovation. So there is a research that American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry study highlights that correlation, not causation, because factors like cyberbullying, social comparison, and sleep disruption are likely to play a role. So, focusing on parental guidance, promoting healthy online behavior habits, and encouraging real-world connections are crucial in addressing these issues. So, I'll focus on the things that how can we get way forward. So, we should strengthen the content moderation and age verification and invest in meal education for young people and parents because they are the guide and promoting responsible development and use of generative AI and also encouraging open communication between parents and children about the online experience. It's very crucial. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Omar. Okay, so we've got to hear now. We got to hear from the team one, their questions and their rebuttals. Now it's for the second round. It's the team two's turn to have their questions and their rebuttals addressed to team one. And we're also excited to hear from members of team one or for the fourth side what their answers and responses are to these rebuttals and questions. So same, it's still 2.5 minutes given for each speaker. Be mindful of the time once again. So maybe we have Rabindra first from team two to raise that rebuttal and question to team one. Rabindra? Rabindra, your turn to rebut and ask a question to team one. Could you unmute?
Privacy is not just about restricting access. It's about managing the ways to protect
Rabindra?
making them able to talk.
Is Rabindra speaking? No one speaking? Rabindra, your turn to rebut and... Okay, I think while waiting for Rabindra, we'll just shift the role. Let's have Harris first.
Okay, so I hope you do hear me well. So I heard the team four saying that the social media platforms have the moral responsibility to protect the teens. So my question to the team one is there any data that shows trust and confidence in social media platforms? Because I would just like to remind you of, for example, Cambridge Analytica, when they sold so much of our information. So where does the trust in social media platforms come from? The second thing that I want to mention is cultural norms. So will the teenage mode again be domination of the Western civilizations? Because something that is acceptable in the United States of America, where the headquarters of most popular social media platforms are, might not be acceptable for the society here in Bosnia and Herzegovina or in Japan, and so on and so on. So do they know what would the solution be for social media, for the teenage mode to overcome these cultural differences? So who do we take as a standard? Is it a Western empire again? Also, as we could have seen with Israel war on Gaza, the information flow is heavily restricted, would the same thing happen with the teenagers? So who gets to decide what our teenagers know and what they don't know? The third question is, what happens when they outgrow the teenage mode? Are they then just out of blue out there in the world of reality that hits them hard? So are we overprotecting them by this? We know everything about the forbidden fruit and how we are always curious to find out more about things that are forbidden to us. What if a teenager takes a phone from their friend, from their sibling, and then see that there is a whole world that's completely unexplored to them, and then they really give their best to find the way. And as I said, 68% of youngsters are bypassing the age limit. How would they ensure that no age limit is bypassed and that actually this mode can be informed? So those are four key questions that I have for the other team. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Harry. So I think you are trying to ask them about the loopholes, the possible loopholes on teenage mode. May I invite Hasna to answer those questions? Hasna, could you answer those questions? Kindly unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I would like to answer about acknowledge the significance of generative AI and its growing influence. Cite researchers on the rapid adoption of generative AI system like ChatGPT and their widespread use across various industries highlight studies that have identified biases in existing generative AI models, such as gender, racial, and political biases, highlighting the importance of media and information literacy. Reference studies showing declining trust in social media and platforms and the need for improved media literacy skills, discussing how media and information literacy can help individuals critically evaluate the outputs of generative AI systems. Inviting also the diverse perspectives, emphasize the need for input from youth as they are significant users of social media and generative AI tools, acknowledge the cultural and generational differences in perceptions and experience also with these technologies, emphasizing the need for collaborative solution. Cite examples of initiatives like the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Youth Debate Series that bring together diverse stakeholders to address the challenges, discussing the importance of involving youth in the development of solutions to ensure their needs and perspective are representative. What call to action, highlighting the potential impact of teenagers sharing generative AI created content without understanding the implication, encourage participants to explore how generative AI can be reasonably integrated into daily life, especially for young users, inviting participants to share their own experiences, concerns, and ideas for improving trust and confidence in social media and generative AI. By incorporating evidence research and addressing the additional aspects I mentioned, also this can be managed through these steps. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Hasna. We were supposed to have Rabindra taking the second member who will ask a question and rebuttal from team 2, but we lost Rabindra again. So may we have instead Mukuka? Maybe you have a question or a rebuttal that you would like to raise to team 1. Is Mukuka still there? Okay, I think it seems that we're also losing her. Elsa, do you want to take the floor to give your rebuttal and question to team 1?
I can always try. So
go ahead.
So you think you think basically that there will be a lot of educational videos and this teenage mode will try to promote material and content that is truthful and educational, but at the same time, you don't really express what kind of content it would limit people from seeing and how those development stages of children, teenagers would be defined. So I would like to hear more on that. Also, another thing I would like to hear more about is alongside what kind of content would be filtered out or restricted, like who would be implementing this mode? Like, would it be companies, parents? Like, talk about the adult-children interaction. Thank you.
Okay, do you still have time, Elsa? Don't you want to add rebuttals? Okay, nothing else. All right. We'll give another 2.5 minutes for, I think Shahak could answer the rebuttals and the question from Elsa.
Hi, so I just want to clear, your first question was about what kind of content which would be limited using teenage mode, and your second one was who will be engaging the teenage mode, if I'm not wrong. Okay. So firstly, I believe the content that would be limited using teenage mode, firstly, on safety, this would include like harmful content, like maybe something that promotes violence, hate speech, cyberbullying, eating disorders, drug use, alcohol use, something along those lines. Another thing would be age inappropriate material, something related to nudity, sexual themes, or graphic violence. Another thing that we can add with the rise of generative AI would be deep fakes, manipulative content, or disinformation that's widely available online. Apart from that, we can also focus on focus more on healthy communication, online behaviors, and positive social interaction. There are many channels and social media influencers and organizations that are actively promoting that. So especially when teenage mode is engaged, we can promote more of those contents rather than the content that is promoting any other themes that I've mentioned previously. The second question, that who will be engaging teenage mode, I believe the primary user for teenage mode should be the teenagers themselves, because it's ultimately that they are controlling what the safe platform, the safer space that they're going to be using. Apart from that, parents, educators, and social media platforms, policymakers, mental health professionals, they also play a key role. But the guidelines, I believe, would be set by the government. The governments and policymakers should be involved in setting up regulations regarding the data collection, online safety measures, what kind of content should be hidden. But I feel like there should be some level of power that should be held with the parents specifically, and the educators, or maybe the guardians, whoever the teenager trusts. They could be a safe adult or someone they trust. Okay, thank you.
All right, Shaq, thanks for that. So we would love really to get to have that interaction between those teams. We get to see those overarching arguments and ideas that they have when it comes to implementing teenage mode. And personally, I get to notice some overlapping statements. Well, we'll just leave it to the expert judges who will give their commentaries in just a short while. Now, before we proceed to the summary and closing arguments, we'll have one member per team who will be delivering their 5-minute speeches. May we remind our audience, are you still there, our dear audience members? Those who are streaming through Zoom, LinkedIn, and YouTube, that we will be preparing in a short while the link that you'll be using for public voting. So you just have to answer 2 simple questions that will help us determine which team do you think has a stronger set of position, stands, arguments, and policy recommendations. Now, may I also would like to include a simple question as we close or as we wrap up our debate session with a summary and closing arguments. So first we have team 1. So Dahlia will be having 5 minutes to give her brief response to team 2. Maybe she would come up also with a summary of the arguments and recommendations of team 1, and convince also why your team has a stronger position. And I think the main question after those arguments that we've heard and rebuttals, who will craft and implement the teenage mode? So you have all the 5 minutes to do the closing. Dahlia, please.
So thank you. First, we should keep in mind some questions that how can we ensure that the internet is a safe environment for people to use this huge amount of information that are available, and how could we identify and evaluate which information is accurate? Another question is how can we ensure that the people they connect with are people who are trustworthy? So for example, when a young person having social media and connect with different people on social media platforms, how can we ensure that this person is connecting with a trustworthy people? So and another thing is that when I was a teenager, I was cautious about many issues. Fortunately, I had a supportive family who empowered me and guided me to be educated with reliable information, but it is not the scenario with everyone in the world. And when it comes to what we can do and what can works, we have a lot of things to be a lot of things to do, and the idea of what we are advocating for is that we're not preventing the young people or the teenager from social media or the internet. We're not disconnecting them from the world, but rather we're trying our best to guide them and support them to prepare them for a healthy life for their next steps, for their transition. So when we are talking about integrating a teenage mood and generative artificial intelligence tools and social media platforms, it's necessary that we step toward protecting the well-being of young people in the digital age by prioritizing many things, as what my colleagues said: mental health, accurate health information, enhancing digital literacy, creating a safe space. This will significantly mitigate the risks of social media use among teenagers. And when we continue to embrace technological advancement, it's imperative that we also implement safeguards to ensure that these tools are used responsibly and ethically, particularly when it comes to vulnerable populations like adolescents, young women and girls, and people with disability. So they are open to the word. People are open to the word teenagers, but they need to learn everything. So we need to provide them with the safe spaces. So advocating for a teenage mood is not just about protecting young people. It's about empowering them with the tools and knowledge they need to thrive in a digital world using evidence-driven pathways. And so enhancing digital, we conclude here that enhancing digital literacy through a teenage mood in AI tools, generative AI tools, and social media platforms, it is a proactive approach to prepare the younger generation for the complexity of the digital world. So we provide resources that teach teenagers how to identify credible sources, how to evaluate those credible sources or those information, also understand the algorithmic biases, and recognize the impact of their digital footprint. We can empower them to navigate the online landscape with confidence and will not only protect teenagers but also occupy them with the knowledge and skills to thrive in this world. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so I have more than a minute out there.
We could at this time we could actually when we were preparing the 14, when we were preparing for this debate, we have also different arguments and different viewpoints. But at the end, we were thinking for the same purpose, that we want to create something, or we want to help the people out there, because at some point we were teenager that wanted to be exposed to the world, to be independent, and to learn a lot of things from this world. But meanwhile, we wanted to protect ourselves and to protect also our peers. So education, peer-to-peer education, it's also an important angle to look at when it comes to digital and information and digital literacy. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thanks for that, Dalia, who represented Team 1 for their summary and closing arguments. So from Team 2, we will now have Elsa, who will give her brief response to the arguments of Team 1, and they will also provide the summary of arguments and recommendations from the against side, or Team 2. And they will also convince why their team has a stronger position. Now, here's my follow-up question that you could also consider answering. You've mentioned about the use of, instead of implementing the teenage mode, there are also other resources that can be used for proper education of the youth in terms of responsible use of these platforms and generative AI. So how will these resources be actually disseminated and be given to the target audience? So the closing statements from Elsa, 5 minutes.
Yeah. Fellow debaters, I'm happy to be the last speaker, and I'm going to summarize some of the key arguments from our side, and then address why we are why our policy recommendations and why our stance is winning. And so throughout the debate, we have been putting forward the argument that social media companies will have some trouble figuring out the best way to implement this teenage mode. It can be done to some extent, but it will not be the best way to teach children how to navigate social media, how to become a responsible social media user. Because basically, if the teenage mode is implemented, the teenage mode will kind of do some of the navigation by itself, in a sense, so the teenager can just be more carefree. And the opposing side is saying that this is very important because teenagers are not ready to see all the violence, misinformation. But what we believe is that misinformation can crack through the teenage mode anyway. Sometimes, if not, it's good to be exposed to the real life and learn from the real life, and not have this whatever form of control is trying to be benevolent, but might actually not work in the specific circumstance of the teenager. We have given examples on how even if social media did cause some kind of heightened depression amongst those who are already disposed to depression, there are other more targeted ways that are helpful in getting that person out of the internet and out of the social media that is sucking the energy, and exposing that person to more content that might just cycle and make the depression even worse. So we're also very worried about the restrictions that could somehow suppress the exposure to a wider content in social media. And we have had several questions kind of left unanswered by the team team number 1. So, like, what would ensure the social media companies would be able to do this teenage mode well? And then secondly, how to make sure that the skills, the media and information literacy skills, would actually be promoted through this implementation of this mode. Because we think on our side, we could teach the children and the teenagers to actually use those skills. Whereas on the other side, it's kind of, they might be learned how to do that, but they might not be exposed to like as much why that needs to happen. So I think the important metric in this debate is in which world teenagers learn to navigate and realize why algorithms are important, what algorithms do, like how to talk about war and violence, because it's going to hit them at some point. Maybe not them personally, but they will have to deal with these topics. And I think we can and should expose teenagers to discussions and safe settings where these can be discussed. And even if teenage mode is supposed to be that on the other side of the team, we think that the danger of having, for example, a parental figure putting the teenage mode on and thus limiting access to information to their thus limiting access to information might have worse consequences. And we gave an example of a teenage pregnancy where the person in question could not be able to find reliable information because the teenage mode or whatever would maybe suppress it. Like there was no engagement on that. So we are still left worrying what would happen. So, and then finally, how would these resources be disseminated? It's very difficult to promote fact-checking and critical literacy when there is a lot of algorithms working, kind of doing the work that people are supposed to do. So we are encouraging communities to find community hubs where they are taught these skills through leaflets and peer-to-peer learning. Thank you.
All right, thanks for that, Elsa, and also for representing Team 2 to provide their summary and closing arguments. Of course, the conversation or the discussion on this question will not end here. Of course, we will get to see these in action through how the different governments would work in terms of implementing teenage mode, or maybe there are also other interventions and recommendations and measures that are needed in order to make our youth guided in the use of different platforms online, especially generative artificial intelligence. So we'll now proceed to the evaluation part. Again, we are inviting our public, our audience, to prepare their devices to activate the link that we are sharing with you. So far we have more than 100 viewers across platforms, Zoom, LinkedIn. We have a good number actually in LinkedIn. There are more than 60 of them watching. And we also have viewers on YouTube. And we invite you to already open or to access the Slido website, where you'll be given the opportunity to answer 2 simple questions to help us out in determining which team has a stronger set of arguments and policy recommendations. Once again, this is not a competition. We are not focused on finding out what the winning match is and who the winning team is. It's not that. No, there's no win or lose here. But we want to elevate the points. They're all valid, actually. Those points are really well thought of, and I could just imagine the preparation of all the debaters with the help of their mentors. So can you join me in giving them this silent clap for doing a job well done, everyone? All right. So actually there are more than 120 viewers, in fact. Yes, Alton?
I was saying, why a silent clap? We can give a real clap.
Okay. Or maybe you can use your Zoom, okay? Zoom reactions, all right? Because that will be quite noisy. I understand. All right. Maybe now hear from our judges. Is the link already open up, Min or Alton, for the public voting?
We're going to go with the feedback first before the voting, just before the voting, before the judges take over. The
All
feedback.
right. All right. So we'll be the public voting will be on standby. So again, to the public and to the audience, just stand by. All right. May we invite back our judges? We have Mariada and Leslie. Okay. Kindly join me here. So while we're waiting for the voting to go on, what can you tell us about the performance? Okay, because I was oriented that we will have the voting while the feedback is going on. Okay, so yeah, so you can now access the QR code that you can find or show that you can see on screen, or you may go straight to slido.com. That's slido.com, and use the code 6177790. So the first question here is, did you enjoy or gain any insights or inspiration from the youth debate series? Is it, yeah, you absolutely enjoyed and gained significant inspiration from the youth? Or maybe there's something else that you would like to look for. And yeah, felt all right, got some insights. Okay, that's good. Okay, hopefully you will not answer no. Okay, I'm sure you learned something new from these interactions. And then the second question here is, okay, which is your favorite team? Which do you think performed better? Because again, we're not only looking into the arguments or the content, but we will also like to check on how all the team members collaborated really well. Okay. So which team do you think has a better set of arguments and performance? So again, while the voting is going on, may we again invite Mariada and Leslie. So maybe I'd like to go first to Mariada. What can you tell us first about the performance, or maybe the arguments first? I'd like to go first on the set of arguments provided by Team 1 and Team 2, as well as the policy recommendations. What are your general feedback and observations, Mariada?
Okay, so am I audible?
Can you turn your video on, Mariada?
Okay.
Perfect.
So wonderful, like wow. And congratulations to both for a wonderful debate. And it was like beyond my expectation. So I'm highlighting few highlights, like words, sentences from the debate itself. From Team 1, I have get to hear about mental health and talking about the privacies, evidence-driven information, media and information literacy must be mandatory. And one interesting highlight was like filter of the content, verification, sense of security, and they talk. This was from round 1, and round 2 they talked about the guidelines of iteration, verification. So talking about their performance, I will talk about both things. They must have the mindfulness for their time, because most of debaters are going beyond the time, allocated time, and there need be a more team collaboration. That was my view. And talking about team 2, there was like opening one sentence of opening statement was full of biases, and then they are using a lot more of facts. They talked about negative impact of social media on health, physical health, mental health, like how it will help us. Then I have an interesting quote that do we have a standardized teenager mode? So like it was really a wider perception to get during this debate, and I like to invite our another judge, Leslie, for more add-ons. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that, Mariada. We love to hear those feedback from you. Now, aside from the arguments and recommendations that were raised by both teams, Leslie, what can you also say about the debating skills, the creative juices that went out from these debaters, how they engaged with the audience, as well as how they managed their time, Leslie?
Thank you so much, Carlos. Thank you so much, Mariana. Yes, that's a very good question. I think we have witnessed how important public speaking skills are, and how important is to be as I'm telling as a professor of public speech. And also how important is to engage with audiences while we are talking and tailor our messages to those audiences. So that's a critical point about being in a debate, and also not being so immersed on ourselves, but also sharing those perspectives with the public and connecting with the public. So I found that the teams made an amazing job. Of course, there are skills to build, still to build, to keep building, to keep honing those skills. But amazing job. I'm very happy to be here and to learn from all of you. So I think that also the debates have shown how complex this issue is, because it intersects with the digital economy, with the complexity of the digital economy and all the arrangement where we are, so that we live in different realities, that we are experiencing those realities in a different way. So I'm glad to be able to hear, to listen to those, how they convey all of those complexities in their approaches. So thank you so much. As you say, there are no winners or losers, because we are witnesses like a approach. We are witnessing like solutions think from the youth. So that's the most important part. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Leslie. So we'll give both Mariada and Leslie the time to finalize their tabulation of scores, because again, they have 70% of the total to contribute to the score of the team, which will be winning, or which will be determined as having the stronger set of arguments. And I think we can now run the timer for 5 minutes while waiting for the public, for you guys to tell us what your favorite team is. So you may vote now for the team with which you think have better arguments and performance. So as you see on the screen, one of the teams is already going up. So we'll wait for the other audience members. We have 18 participants so far, and we have I think 120 viewers. So we're hoping to have at least 100 of you voting here. And while we are waiting for the time to close the voting, again, be reminded to scan the QR code that you can see on the screen, or you may proceed to slido.com and enter the code 6177790. So I also share the same thoughts from Leslie when it comes to the importance of connecting with your audience, especially in terms of not just being informative, not just with knowing what you have in mind, but most importantly, making your arguments logical, making your arguments not just heavily grounded on evidence, but perhaps we want to also we want to connect to our audience and make them think for themselves. We want them to come up with healthy, informed decisions, right? So yeah, I'm doing a countdown right now. So maybe while the countdown is going on, it's past 3 minutes left. Maybe Min has a video prepared for us while the voting is going on. Okay, is the video up?
I think Victor can help us for it.
Okay, I think while waiting for the video, maybe what I can really remember well from Team 1 was the how were they able to define what teenage mode means, and what will be the role of the different governments. Remember that we have to set the premise when it comes to which will be what specific party is concerned with crafting policies and with crafting statutes that will ensure the implementation of teenage mode. Now, for the other side, for the against or for team 2, they say that teenage mode would just restrict or would just contribute to further inequalities, especially for the youth. They should be given they should still be given the equal or equitable access, provided that provided that the resources are there for proper dissemination and education. So here's the video, and after the video, we'll do the final countdown.
Media and information literacy and generative artificial intelligence. Across the world, people are increasingly using artificial intelligence in their day-to-day lives. Think about when you unlock your phone with Face ID, get directions from a voice assistant, or control the temperature of your home from your workplace. AI is also having a significant impact on people's engagement with information, as it is used to generate content like text, images, music, audio, and videos. That's what we call generative artificial intelligence. You might have already asked for support from an AI system to draft a paper.
Yeah, not only the public voting, there are also other 2 questions.
Or been fooled by a photo that was actually an image created with AI. Like all innovative technologies, generative AI carries both huge opportunities and potential threats. On the positive side, it can augment human creativity, democratize innovation, and improve personalized learning throughout life. Downsides include the proliferation of disinformation, the loss of data privacy, copyright violations, threats to the integrity of elections, lack of source reliability, surveillance, and discrimination, including gender-based and racial stereotypes. That's why media and information literacy is key to empowering younger and older users with the necessary skills to engage with generative AI. Citizens who are media and information literate are able to identify, analyze, critically interpret, and engage with content produced with generative AI. They are equipped with tools to check the veracity and accuracy of content. No more being fooled by a manipulated photo. They also understand the biases generated content might carry. Upskilling media and information literacy of citizens is also crucial if we want the whole of society to trust new technologies and contribute to their design, implementation, and regulation. To make this a reality, we need to step up our efforts to ensure media and information literacy is integrated in both formal and informal education. UNESCO is supporting governments, institutions, and policymakers to develop and implement policies and strategies taking into consideration the ever-evolving nature and challenges of generative AI. UNESCO is also providing resources and training opportunities to teachers, educators, youth workers, and civil society organizations so that they are empowered to widely share their knowledge on media and information literacy and their digital competencies. Together, we must better comprehend generative AI to seize the opportunities it brings while preventing the inherent risks. So, let's all get media and information literate.
Yeah, that was the bottom line, to be media and information literate. So may we bring the screen back for the voting before we do the final countdown. And I think our judges have also are also doing the final finishing touches in tabulating the judges' scores. So let me do the count now. Okay, thank you to the 46 participants. We hope for the last 30 seconds we'll get to find out more. All right. So we hope to get to have more votes. Maybe we can make it 50, right? So which is your favorite team? And we also have another question. How did you find the debate? Was it really helpful for you? For myself, it's really helpful for me. So the countdown, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's press that deactivate ball. All right. So as we saw that we had 33 votes for the affirmative side or team 1. And then team 2 got, if I'm not mistaken, 14 votes. Can you show the results, please? If it's possible. Perfect, thank you. So team 1 got 33 votes and the opposition team or team 2 got 14 votes, okay? Can we now share, if it's ready, the tabulated results? I'm giving the floor now to Leslie and Mariada to announce or give their final feedback and announce the winners.
Mariada, you gonna go? Okay.
Leslie, please go ahead, please.
Okay, Leslie, please.
So thank you so much, Mariada. Thank you so much, Carlos. So just give me a minute to take a look at the final score. Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think that what we are seeing here first is the difficulties of assessing, because in my view, both teams performed very well and both of them were engaged in the debate. So it's very difficult to assess some points from in a few minutes of debate, because what emerged from here is that they really went through the material that they did a homework and they were hard to get ready for this debate. So that's the first point. And there is an important issue here about the teenage mode or no teenage mode. How difficult is to standardize across the whole platform that teenage mode? That could be very challenging, because we are in a digital economy that we know how it works from a different perspective. Each platform has its own governance, let's say, principles or guidance. We have seen in the case of AI how difficult it is to regulate that changing, evolving, fluid technology, and how difficult it is to evolve, because we interact with the technology itself changes. So that's one important point. And another thing that emerged from this debate is the importance of extending the solutions, because sometimes when we face problems related to technology, we always think of techno-solution and we think of solutions provided by technology. But sometimes the solutions are outside the scope of the technology, are in the realm of literacy, of education, of providing alternatives. So that's something that's a very important point that emerged from this debate as well. If you ask me to highlight my takeaways, I will say that it's important that youth is thinking of solutions outside the scope of the technology as well. That is important. That literacy, education are still core, even though in the world of evolving AI, that guidance is still core, that we cannot live like a youth by like in highway going there. We need guidance, we need principles, and that's why UNESCO work is so important, because we need this global forum, this global conversation to think how our different realities and our different perspectives can convey in these solutions. And to be here because it is a reality that the platforms are important part of our life. So that's why it is important, this conversation. I'm going to give it there because I think I'm taking too much time. But thank you so much, Carlos. Thank you so much, UNESCO, for this opportunity.
All right. Our pleasure also, Leslie. Thank you so much. Mariada, can you give your final thoughts also? And maybe do the honors also of announcing the winning team.
you so much. And I'd like to thank UNESCO and organizer for organizing much needed debate series because we are stepping into a full digitalization century, but we are facing more problem about generative AI and how to use it on our positive ways, like for our benefit or for like unknowingly causing some harm also. So it was really needed series. And talking about like I have taken a lot of perception from here as a takeaways, and like every arguments, every words are powerful, but as also I has mentioned before, we need to be also mindfulness for our time because time has power as well. So okay, so I'm going to announce. So the winner of debate series 3 is team 1. So use a round of applause.
All right. Thank you, Mariada. So you know what's interesting here? I'd like to do a little comment here. For the judges, remember that's 70%. Okay, that's a huge weight, right? That's a huge slice of pie. The difference between team 2 and team 1, for them the winner, the one that's the stronger set of arguments was team 2. So they got 6.525 compared to team 1, that's 6.375. But the huge difference with the voting of the public, it's about saying that the public has the final say. And we really appreciate and we thank our audience for providing a dynamic perspective. You came from different industries, you came from different settings, and you have also contributed. That's 30%. That's way less than 70. I know, but the way you have interacted with us by means of answering those questions, it made a lot of difference. So all in all, we came up with the conclusion that Team 1 has a more sound set of arguments and recommendations, but it doesn't mean that Team 2 do not have those same soundness. They're all valid, as I said. And it's really important that no matter which side you're on or you're assigned to in answering all the questions from the previous 3 debate sessions, what is important is we're all unified. We're all united with the same goal of promoting and ensuring responsible, effective, and ethical use of different digital tools, especially in the presence of generative artificial intelligence. And with this, on behalf of the debaters, the mentors, and everyone involved, the organizers of the UNESCO MIL Youth Debate Series, I am Carlo Concepcion, the debater for session 3. I'd like to thank you all for keeping us company and for joining us. And from this time on, I'll now pass the floor to Alton and Min for further announcements.
No, thank you. I think that's a good note to end on, and it was just fascinating, learning and being enlightened by these young minds. I learned so much, and I think it's the same for all of us. So really, thank you. Rather than ending the discussion with an adult, I will ask one of our young team members, Shufan, to take the floor so that we'll end on the voice of a young person. But please remember that it's not the mountain that you conquer, but yourself. It's not the mountain that we conquer, but ourselves. It's not the mountain of information. It's not the all-powerful technology. It's ourselves that we conquer. And media and information literacy can help us to outpass and surpass any mountain and any powerful technology. With that, I pass to my colleague, so we end on the note of a young voice. Shufan, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Alton. Thank you, everyone. And I feel very joyful to be part of this youth debate series. And I feel rather grateful to have worked with all of you, our young debaters. and to get to know you, to be ultimately impressed and empowered by all our amazing debaters. And over this 3-day session, all the debaters have guided me through a journey for deeper understanding of the topic surrounding media information literacy and artificial intelligence. We started with theoretical and more knowledge-based discussions in the first 2 days, and today we tackled a very concrete and practice topic: should we implement a teenage mode? And today's debaters, you have really provided a strong conclusion to this 3-day series. I hear not only novel and diverse perspectives, but also many empirical policy recommendations. And you should believe that your ideas are influencing the world and are making a difference in shaping a better digital ecosystem. Well, I was observing the LinkedIn live stream, and I saw AI professionals, data researchers, and also policymakers from all over the world discussing and commenting on your ideas and arguments. And that's why you can make a difference. And as Carlo mentioned at the beginning, this event is not about to identify which is the correct viewpoint or which is the better team. Instead, we are expecting to see the exchange and clash of ideas. And this is why UNESCO wanted to invite youth into this discourse on AI and media information literacy. When our new generation passionately debates the emerging issues of our time, we can continue shaping a better world. And you can be empowered and further empower a broader part of the world. And in the end, I want to say a big thank you to all our debaters, mentors, judges, and the moderators, and we hope you can be involved in more UNESCO activities in the field of media information literacy. And to all the audience here watching our live stream and also in Zoom, I believe you also have a lot of thoughts and ideas to share. I invite you to join our youth debate sessions next year, and we look forward to seeing you as debaters, mentors. Yes, thank you all.
So we're all done. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much, everyone.